I found enduring happiness when I lost my greatest fears. What is your greatest fear? Once upon a time, when I was young and full of dreams, I feared two things: failure and dying alone. I wanted to be accepted, if not celebrated, and dying alone was not on my bucket list. I worked so hard to succeed. Unfortunately, my years of toil only landed me in the very place I was desperate to escape: a lonely failure. I failed my dreams. I failed myself, and thus began my downward spiral. As a no good, I didn't want to add loneliness to that list, so I became desperate to find love. But it appeared like Cupid grew wings and flew out of my reach. I can't count the blows of rejection I was dealt. Just like I gave up on my dreams, I gave up on myself, and I gave up on love. My worst experience was being alone to face the absence of all I worked so hard for. Silence became my companion, constantly echoing how I was nobody and no good. I heard it so often, I began to believe and to become it. I sought escape from the most miserable company I dreaded, myself, and ended up with addictions. Just name it: booze, drug, whatever. Anything to numb me from facing the loneliness I dreaded so bad. Nobody cared, so why should I? I was going down so fast, on my way to the grave, but I ended up in jail. Then, what I thought was my worst nightmare turned my greatest breakthrough. I had to lose the freedom I couldn't manage to gain wisdom that births true success. I met my worst enemy in solitary confinement, and the loneliness I dreaded most became the teacher that opened my eyes so I could mine diamonds that avail in the place of silence. Here are the 7 lessons that loneliness, my worst enemy, taught me. 1. You are your greatest cheerleader and your own worst enemy. Nobody will do for you more than you are willing to do for yourself. When you write yourself off, nobody wants you on their list. But if you can take a risk on you and push yourself to deliver, others will be willing to take a chance on you. 2. What you call yourself is what you are, no matter what others call you. Nobody can put a label on you that you refuse to accept. Others will bid in line with whatever you tag on yourself. Step back every once in a while and reevaluate the stickers you have allowed. Don't be afraid to thrash worthless ones, because if you don't, nobody will. You are your greatest defender and supporter. Others will follow your lead. 3. The state of your heart is very crucial to where and how you end up in life. Guard your heart. Protect your peace from ravaging forces. The battleground is inside, not out there. Win yourself and you will win the world. But if you already defeated yourself, others will walk all over you. 4. Life is more than dreams fueled by wantonness. Find worthy goals that transcend the want of more, be it money, power, and recognition, because a happy life outshines those. The want of more corrupts those who are determined to gain them by all means. But those who find worthy goals and train their eyes on them gain so much more. Your priority determines your focus, and focus decides your direction. 5. You will be helped or harmed by what you learn to feed or starve. Everything you feed, good or bad, habits included, will grow and thrive. And whatever you starve, good or bad, will shrink and die. Pick what you feed, because whatever you feed influences your emotions, which drive your actions and become habits that build character. 6. Unhealthy thoughts and activities come with inevitable consequences, and repetition turns them to addiction. Just like you can get addicted to the bad by repetition, you can also form a good habit by the same process of repetition. Your mind is a soil. Whatever you plant and water is what thrives. Cultivate healthy thoughts of you and of life, and you will eventually enjoy a healthy life. 7. Don't get lost in your head and be consumed by your problems. You are not the only one with problems. Everyone has some. It all depends on how you manage them. Here's a proven path out of your problems. If you can look beyond the ridge of your nose to help someone find their way, the help you need will find you when you least expect it. Nothing is wrong with being alone if you use that time wisely. Enjoy companies when you have them, but more importantly, learn to enjoy being by yourself. It is a blessing, not a punishment. Invest times alone on things and thoughts that build and uplift, not condemn or crush you. Surround yourself with things that add, not take away from who you are. Being alone and sober awakened me to see the sorry side I had become, which of course I never wanted to see. It opened my eyes to the possibilities I was missing due to the bad choices I was making, because I had concluded that nobody cared and that I wasn't worth fighting for. Why should anyone fight for you when you wouldn't even fight for you? Yes, being alone dredged up all the horrors I was trying to escape. But in facing each, it empowered me to stand up for the one person who alone can help and change who I was to who I could become. Me. It enabled me to kick out the people and things that I have allowed to define my life as a no good, that I could never reject on my own. It was in a pit of loneliness that the failure I once called myself died, so a new me could emerge and reach for all I could be. Going to jail wasn't in my plan, but the jail turned the grave where the failure I had become was buried, and I walked out of there a new man. We all don't have to go to jail to recognize the beauty and the blessing of learning to be by ourselves. Being alone is one of the cheapest opportunities life endows every one of us, and can turn out the greatest asset, not a liability, depending on what you do with it. Champions and failures have one thing in common: time alone. The results depend on what each chose to do with theirs. Choose what to do with your times of being alone. Otherwise, you will end up with the wrong things and in the wrong place. I found peace of mind when I lost my fear of dying alone. And guess what? We repel those we pursue when we are desperate, but we attract the right people when we are in a place of peace, within and without. I am not alone, never alone. Everywhere I go, I meet people like you that feel like I've known them all my life. That is what that inner peace does for you. But you have to lose your greatest fear to realize your greatest asset. Feel free to comment below and to share this with family and friends. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the button so you're notified every Monday as I share life lessons from Sage, my friend.